Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. This is episode number 195. Yes, 195, which means, and you don't have to be a mathematician to work this out, we are just 5 episodes away. It's like a countdown, isn't it? We're just 5 episodes away from our historic 200th episode. We are actually moving to that episode at a very fast pace. But this week, I am delighted to bring you episode number 195. And one of the things I love about this podcast is I get to virtually travel all over the world to meet a huge variety of people. And through this saver over the last 5 years, I've met people I would never have met before and had some fascinating conversations. And this week, we're going back to France. I love France. I think I was probably French in a previous life. I just love being in France and driving around in my car. It's quite romantic, really. I'm delighted to welcome Nitai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Haribol. Hello
Nitai,
everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you, Narada. Thank you for the invitation.
no worries at all. Nitai, it's great to have you with us. We met in France, I think about 2 years ago,
Yep.
possibly. And
hmm
almost every time I visit France or the temple in Rouen, I meet you if you're there. And I've been keen to interview you for some time because I think you're quite an interesting character. Okay, so Nitai in France. Let's start with the first question. It's the first question that every guest gets just to warm them up. Please tell us a little bit about you and where you are from.
I'm Nitai Das. I come from Normandy. I grew up here nearby the city of Caen. Maybe it's famous. From England. From Willie the Conqueror. That was living from this place to go after in England, and all the kind of lineage of kingdom of the king of England came from this place in Normandy. So I was here, in my childhood, and then after I moved, I enjoy traveling, and after at some point, I leave France to go to Canada, and I start to do traveling, and it's like tattooing, when you start, you cannot stop after. And so I continue a bit after traveling, and all the time I have a lot of interest, in spirituality. More, I can define myself, maybe as a seeker, truth seeker. And so finally in my past, looking for different things and experimenting different things. Finally, I found the Hare Krishna movement, the Vaishnava philosophy with Srila Prabhupada, and I really this have all the answer I was looking for, So this is how I became a devotee. It's to be very
Wow.
short. After we can go deeper because I know you like this question and we can speak more about
Yeah.
this story, But
Did you have a particular religious upbringing at all?
an upbringing.
As a child, did you go to
Mhm.
church? Were your parents religious as a
Okay,
child?
no, not really, no. But maybe in my family, they were like from like the side of my mother, either you were going to the church or going to the military school, So I have a bit of there were persons that were priests in my family, like grand uncle, etc. I never meet them. But in France there was also Catholicism in the past that were more present in the family than in the modern times. So maybe I've got some influence from that, but I've never been to a mass when I was young, or even, like catechism, we call that in French, like
Mm.
Christian school. I was never going inside that. I'm baptized, but it was just more like for. So no, no, no. I never had some big spiritual education. I did that myself. It was really my own interest.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
And I'm quite interested the fact that you just decided you wanted to start traveling. What was the inspiration behind that? Why did you decide to leave Normandy and go to Canada, for example?
It's because I didn't feel good in my life, you know. As a kid, you know, I had a lot of anger and hate in some ways, you know. So when I was young, you know, at my 15, 16, I was into punk rock music. So, you know, I was really into punk rock, and this is how I connect first with vegetarianism, you know. And since my 16, I start to be vegetarian, you know. It was something super important for me. And also because, you know, I like to dissociate from society, and it was very, you know, something uh, good, you know, to distinguish yourself from the other, to be vegetarian. For me, it was important, that aspect. And it resonated a lot in me, and to understand also vegetarianism. I was starting to read, you know, stuff of the Dalai Lama and Buddhism, you know, so maybe this is how I start to connect with spirituality in some ways. And I remember also there were, you know, a French realizator. His name is, I forgot the name now. He did a documentary about ayahuasca. His name was Jan Kunen. You know, he did like some very violent movie also, but he did this one about ayahuasca. And I watched this movie, you know, when I was also maybe, you know, between 16, 20, I don't remember. And I saw all those like shamanic, you know, work, etc. And I was thinking one day I will do that. I will experiment that. And after during my traveling, you know, I spent 4 years in Peru, so I had time also to experiment that. We can talk about this after in the podcast also.
So how did you meet the devotees? How did you discover Krishna consciousness?
I think first time I connect with Krishna consciousness, you know, it's because also in the punk rock, in the hardcore music culture, you know, there is also there were the presence of devotees, you know, like, you know, you can see this record album of Chromags, and me. So the first time I think I connect with devotees, you see, it was through this album, like from Terror Zone, a band from you know, from New York. It was kind of a bit down, hardcore, you know, something very heavy, very violent, you know. And actually, you know, some of the guys, you know, they start this album because the song leader, you know, he was in jail, and I think he connect also, you know, like Krishna consciousness helped him when he was in jail, and after he did this record album. So, and actually, you know, inside you see you have Garuda, and there is also some mantra inside. There is a song about Nishingadev. So I think it's like listening to that the first time. Last time I was trying to recall when is it the first time I really hear the mantra or some mantras, and I think it was in this album, you know. So this Terror Zone, you know, because I was in the hardcore scene, you know, when I was young, and I connected to that because I was listening to beatdown hardcore, you know, bulldoze and this kind of stuff, and Terror Zone, you know, it was a very great album. I love that, and I listen it a lot. And then after there was also the band, you know, Shelter and Chromags that had all that also. And so, yeah, this is how I connect for the first time with devotees. But after it took me time, you know, to really accept that and to. I think. Do you hear the tudum from my WhatsApp? I will close it. No.
I hear nothing. I can just hear
okay.
you.
Okay. And so, yeah, they were all this, you know, with the. But to really be inside the philosophy and to enjoy the philosophy and to really go deeper in that, I started maybe 10 years ago or something like this. Before that, I had to maybe go through a process of spiritual awakening because you know, I was like a materialist, you know, atheist, you know. I was rejecting God a lot, you know. I was more influenced also by all this anarchist punk rock background also, you know, no gods, no master, you know, didn't want like to follow an authority, you know. There is authority, you know, in Vedic scripture, Vedic knowledge. And me, I wanted to be free, you know, I have no authority, be like my own authority. So I did many mistakes, you know, I suffer a lot. And after maybe I accept also, you know, it is, I had to pass all this process, you know, and experimenting different things, you know. So maybe I start with Buddhism, also after shamanism. I was really into shamanism, different shamanic cultures, and also more, kind of spiritual, energetic things, like in France, I don't know how you call that, like the geobiology. Do you know that? It's like to study like the telluric forces of Earth, and you can do also energetic exercise. I was more in this kind of energetical stuff also at some point. So it's permit me to have experience, to realize that we are more than a body, that we have also like this subtle body, energetical body, because I was able to experiment that. And so step by step, like this, I start to grow and to looking for more answers. And finally, I got all the answers I needed reading the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and listening to devotees, listening to Srila Prabhupada. And so here I am now. Like,
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, my question was going to be, and I think you kind of answered. My question was going to be, what was it about Bhakti yoga that kind of tied you in? Because you're exploring all these other things like Buddhism, shamanism, but you concluded with Krishna consciousness. What was it about Krishna consciousness that kind of kept you attracted to it?
I think it's because it was very logical. In other things, like you don't really know who is God, or they explain you who is God, but it's super complicated. At least for me, I didn't grasp it. I didn't understand that, kind of in the Mayavadism, or impersonalism. It sounded weird, but after I say, yeah, but Krishna is a person like you are a person. So how God cannot be a person like you, you cannot have something more than God, if you are a person, if you have a family, etc. Krishna also have that because he's God, everything what you know, it's because it's coming from him. So say, okay, yeah, it's pretty good argument, after, when you know the philosophy, they say that it's because, you have, you know, yeah, it's sometimes people, it's clear for them, for other person, it's not clear because they need something else and it's perfect also, It came like that for me.
Yeah. I loved how you put it then, that Krishna consciousness is logical.
Yeah.
It's rational, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We are people. I'm a person. So God must also be a person. God, Krishna, has a personality, an identity. It's the supreme identity, the supreme personality, and actually it's very rational. Even the Bible says that we're created in the image of God. So there
Yeah.
must be some similarities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And in Christianity, like they speak about God, but they never have representation of God.
mm,
For me, I really don't know who is God for them. Is it the Son? Is it the Father? Is it the Holy Spirit? I know
yeah.
like there is like a big thing, about this Trinity aspect of the divine. But
Mm.
it's like, yeah, I was trying to understand that, and I think maybe more my internal mood, or I'm more attracted to that. It's like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. No, it's really good. It's really good. Uh, I'm just thinking about that really in terms of other religious. I mean, you and I could talk for ages and go off on a massive tangent. In my head, I was thinking about other religious traditions then and what they teach about God. But yeah, ultimately, the first fundamental teaching of Krishna consciousness is we are not the body. The body is not who we really are. And you've mentioned that already. You're very good at explaining things. I like it. And then actually, ultimately, our natural intrinsic connection is with the Supreme Person. And so Krishna consciousness is just so logical. It's
Mhm.
quite unbelievable actually when you think about it. Um, okay, we're going to come back to that a bit later on. You've talked about your kind of spiritual journey and the different things you've been interested in. You've talked about traveling, Canada, Peru.
Mhm.
Can we talk a bit about your interest in natural medicine and herbs? So I learnt
Yeah.
that about you through a magazine that you gave me to read, which is
Yeah.
great. And you're very into kind of living off the land and using natural things. Why are you interested in that, and why is this important?
I think it came, when I was doing traveling. For the first time I connect with herbalism, it was when I was traveling in Canada, when I was 21 years old. Uh, uh, and so, when I see that for the first time, I said, oh, but I didn't know this was possible to do that anymore. It's kind of to heal, or to heal ourselves. It was just going to the pharmacy and take pills. But after I discovered, oh no, wait, there are still people, like harvesting plants and making their own remedy with plants. And I think it was super cool. And this is the first time, I connect with that. And then after just driving in Canada, I went back to France. I continued my studies, to university. I did like 2 years of university. And then after when I had my degree, I started to work. Finally, I was not feeling happy at work, having a career, etc. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna continue living as I was living when I was traveling. I was doing a lot of woofing, work exchange when I was traveling. So I continue to have this kind of lifestyle being in France. And so I went to a farm that was working with natural plants in the south of France. And I stay here for 6 months, maybe, in the winter. So here I continue a bit working with plants. And then, yeah, I realized that to feel happy in my life, it was more like, feeling this freedom and traveling and living off the land. So I choose to go to South America. Then in South America, I finally end up to be in a community in Peru, in the Sacred Valley. And here they had like a laboratory of medicinal plants. So I was a manager of this laboratory of medicinal plants for some time, for 3 years, something like that. So I was working with the local, also, harvesting plants and transforming the plants into remedy. And we were giving this for free to the population, and we were selling also a bit in Cusco, in the touristic place of the Sacred Valley, to bring a bit of income to the community. And yeah, so for me, it was, more an attraction. Like if I had to choose the job I want to do in my life, it's this one because, it's connected to the nature. There is some kind of physical activities, it's not an easy job. So I kind of like that also, being outside and doing concrete things, working with my hands and also being able to do something that is good for the persons. I really enjoy also this aspect. And so, yeah. And I think, like we can see in the hardcore and punk rock also, like, persons like at some point, they were punk and then they evolved and they became yoga teacher and they were also into, juicing and healthy habits, in the straight edge movement also. There's a lot of that, of being healthy. And so I think for me also, like to connect with plants, with herbs also, it was being in this kind of also same vision of what we should be, what we should do, and I think it's very DIY. Working with plants, it's very DIY. It's kind of a pirate way. Because having a juicer and going to the organic store, buying your veggies, it's super expensive. It's not anyone that can do that because it's a bit expensive. But working with plants and healing with plants, basically, you can just do that. You go in the wild and you harvest your plants, etc. You can do the things yourself. So for me, it's very DIY, and I also like this aspect of natural medicine.
Mm. Many years ago, I used to know a lady in England who used to run. She set up in her own. She had a very big garden, very very big garden, and she set up her own pharmacy. Pharmacy spelt Pharmacy. And so what she did, it's like a farm, but it was growing natural herbs and things. And she was running her own business, and she moved away many years ago, but she was very successful,
Hmm.
and she taught me a lot about, she made me think a lot about how having uh, uh, trying to heal ourselves through natural ways, They're really, really important. And I would
Mm-hmm.
say even just having a healthy meal is so important. You know, if for example, I'm feeling a bit fluish today because it's really cold in the UK. You know, I've been working really hard. I'm really tired. And actually, yes, I can take medication, but actually, I can just have a really nice, like meal, maybe a hot curry or lentils or sabji, something healthy, you know, and I just feel good after having plants and vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, they're just so natural, and
Mm-hmm.
they give a natural energy boost to my body.
Yeah, yeah, it's super important, to have these healthy habits, like doing sports also, and
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes, like taking care of us. And when we can do that, with the plants that are growing all around us also, it's all time better, it's bringing more, it's very fresh, it's bringing a lot of energy, a lot of prana, it's very, so actually you can heal like very fast. And the plant have like an amazing power of healing. Last time, I was chopping stuff and I cut my finger, but very bad. It was like a big cut, I did on my finger. It was just like a lot of blood, I cannot stop the blood. So I went to the garden, I took some Achille millefeuille, and I just chew a bit the plants, not swallowing the juice, but started keeping the juice. And after I put like the chewed plant like this on my finger, and no kidding, in 10 seconds, blood was stopped, and it's amazing how like the power of plants. It's really, you something also people don't know, they don't believe in that, they think like no, only pills will heal me, but if you find like the good plants that correspond to you, to your body, it's super powerful. But you
Mm.
need to find like the good plants that correspond to the your physical characteristics. So this is kind of like something you have to learn in the work of herbalist.
Do you grow a lot of your own plants at
Yeah,
home?
yeah. I have a garden also growing my own plants because, as you know, I'm starting to create my company. I don't know, my business, or, my projects, more like my projects, my passion. I'm trying to. So it's called Kadamba Apotica. And I'm growing plants. Like for example, I have ashwagandha in the garden. I'm in the harvesting of ashwagandha now, and many other plants. And I'm also doing like wild harvesting of other plants. I don't have to cultivate everything a lot. Also, it's just like from wild harvesting. For example, like I think like tomorrow, after tomorrow, I will go in the forest. Like my cousin, he found like a big mushroom in a tree, a shaga mushroom. So I'm gonna have. I will go with him to harvest it, to transform it in plant. So it's on a small scale. For the moment, it's not like a big
Mm. Mm.
big project, but because I'm starting, and I have a lot to develop. But maybe if in the future people like it, it can be something else also to sustain a community. People are doing like food stuff or milk, etc. Community of devotees, they can also work with plants. It can be something nice to bring. Like the old monastery, the monastery, in France, for example, they were also transforming a lot of natural medicinal plants also. So it's a nice way also to sustain communities.
Mm. Mm. Great, thank you. I really appreciate that, and we might come back to that later on.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the fascinating things I find about talking with you is you have so many interests, and there's so much that we can touch on in this interview. It's fantastic. So we're going to change the topic a bit now. Can we talk a bit about your interest and your involvement in the straight edge music scene? Uh, uh, Tell us a bit about what is straight edge, because most of our viewers won't know what is straight edge, and how have you been involved with it?
Mhm. So straight edge, it's a movement that started in the punk hardcore music scene. In the 80s, there was this band Minor Threat that had a song called Straight Edge, and it came from that. And so finally, in punk rock culture, there were like, most of hardcore kids, they are they have hangers, they don't want to be like the mainstream society, So also a way, to really distinguish ourselves, can be to choose a straight edge lifestyle, It's more when you are also in college, university, where it's a lot of drinking, and partying, etc. Straight edge, they don't take drugs, they don't smoke, they don't drink, and they don't have like liberated sex, It's more like just there's some chastity, like for them, yeah, and for example, this movement of straight edge was uh, uh, coming very big uh, in the late 80s, 90s, with bands like Youth of Today, with Ray Capo that became Raghunath Das Prabhu, and now having like the band Shelter and all those guys, also with Parmananda, all those guys that brought a lot, into the hardcore music, being straight edge and then becoming devotees, Krishna devotees. So, that there is also like a connection between straight edge and Krishna devotees. But so me, I was into straight edge when I was more in my uh, yes, 16, 18. But then after I quit a bit the hardcore, I was more into uh, punk rock and oi, more the skinhead, also a bit culture, So I was drinking booze, and after, so I had also after, I took other drugs and while traveling also, I went to, I developed like all this anger and violence I had in me also was difficult. I was not managing just to put that into straight edge. So I did other stuff and yeah, it's like this. And so after at some point also, that's why like meditation helped me a lot to get out of violent behavior also and to stop also drugs and going to Peru also to work with with sacred plants, or psychedelic plants also. This really helped me, I was also kind of looking for that, and so yeah, straight edge, uh no, I don't identify myself as straight edge. I'm part of this culture, but I cannot say that I was really into straight edge because for me actually to be straight edge it was a struggle. It always has been a struggle. And I was talking about that. Maybe you would like also to introduce that at another moment, but I'm doing also this fanzine. And actually, in this last one, I published, there's an interview of a band Lifelike with their singer Madhu Sudan. And we're speaking a lot about straight edge in this interview, so also it can be interesting for persons that want to know more to read about straight edge in this interview because Madhu is representing very better than me straight edge culture, if I can say.
Mm, mm. Thank you for sharing that. I do really, really appreciate it. I, I, I find it a bit. I find it quite interesting because I'll be really honest with you. Um, I I gave up a lot of the things I gave up, like sex life and meat eating and alcohol, because I was on a spiritual path. Because I wanted to uh, become more spiritual, and I
Mhm.
want to develop my Bhakti yoga. But if I wasn't interested in spiritual life, I wouldn't have probably given up those things. But I
Yeah.
find this straight
Mm.
edge thing quite interesting. So
Yeah.
why were the punk rockers of the 80s giving up these things? For what? You know,
Yeah.
uh,
This is the same difficulty as I encounter actually,
mm,
And for me, it was really more easy to stop alcohol and drugs and even becoming vegetarian from like the whole Vedic background. And this is why, I wasn't able to be straight edge or vegetarian before because there were not this understanding, of spiritual knowledge. And actually how it developed, maybe like those band, like Earth Crisis or all the H8000, crew in Belgium, they were also straight edge, and vegan, but it was more like really being in reaction to society and also like putting kind of their kind of anger and violence into the defense of animal, animal liberation, etc. All these kind of political sides of vegetarianism and straight edge. And finally, it was bringing more, they were a bit of a particular mood, that I was really not interested into that, where I was more into friendship and, kind of, not wanting to judge the other or to reject the other because they have this kind of behavior. And so for me, it was kind of difficult to be straight edge or even to be vegan. I was never identifying myself as a vegan, for example, even if I'm sometimes I had to be vegan more for health reason, but I
Mm.
prefer to say that I'm vegetarian and yeah, yeah, straight edge also maybe now because it's more like I prefer to say that I'm a devotee for sure to represent this aspect of Krishna core and devotional and things.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's just
Mm,
always been something that's on my mind with the straight edge scene and a lot of ideological movements where people are giving up these things,
mhm, mhm,
but they're not giving them up for a higher cause or a higher power. You know,
mhm.
I spoke to one man recently who's new to Krishna consciousness and he's still eating meat and he's still drinking alcohol. He's very new and he was asking me for advice. And I said, you can't just give them up. You have to replace them with something. So
Mm.
if you're not eating meat and not drinking alcohol, you can replace them with chanting, with maybe get some small deities for your home and have like a, worship Gaur Nitai or a picture of Gaur Nitai. You can listen to Prabhupada's talks. Just giving them up and not replacing them with something actually would just mean you'll rebound and you'll go back to drinking because
Yeah.
you're looking for some kind of fulfillment.
Mm.
Um, uh, so yeah, so thank you for sharing that.
Mm. And
Really,
having
really,
associations also of persons that have the same lifestyle. This also is another key aspect of how you are really able to change and to maintain this because associations is really a key, even if you want to become really like deepen or devotion and also or to start, if you have and me also when I was trying to be vegetarian when I was a kid, like all the familial background and the school, etc. Everybody wants you not to be vegetarian, so it's super difficult. It's a struggle. But
yeah.
when you have like also that's why maybe straight edge community that are very strong and fighting against the other. It's also to protect ourselves. It's kind of we can see that in some devotion in the path of devotion also when we start when we have like a small face we can like see like the fault in others and build our community based on excluding others it's kind of a functioning of when you start something but it's all in the same times you can understand that because otherwise it's impossible to continue we have to go through this stage first then after to be more open-minded and more inclusive but like that.
Thank you for that. And as I shared with you before we hit the record button, I did interview another devotee. Must have been about 4 years ago, who was a straight edge person, and
Mhm.
also a Hare Krishna devotee. That was a long time ago. I mean, I don't know many of them or of you, but I know that there is a small but loud community of straight edge Hare Krishna devotees. That leads us nicely on to talk about your publication, magazine, your
Mhm.
magazines. So
A
you actually
fanzine.
gave me yeah, the fanzine. You actually gave me a
Yeah,
copy back. It
yeah.
must have been in March. I've been to Rouen twice this year.
Hmm, hmm.
Yeah, I think so. So you
Yeah,
gave me this. Yeah,
yeah. I
and I
did
have
this
read
one,
it.
I think, in January of this year, and I released this other one in June of this year also. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about your publication. What's it about? What are the contents? What inspires you to produce them?
Well, all that, it started when I was also a kid, in the punk rock music scene. Because of my friends, they had bands or they were doing a radio broadcast. Yeah, man, I have to do something myself. So, so I start to do a fanzine. And I did my first zine. Uh, I don't remember when it was, because before that I was doing also like a magazine at school. I started to do like the the magazine in my school and in the college I was, and then after I continued to do a fanzine. And I don't know, it's kind of a passion, where I had to do something. So I was doing that because also it, back in the time, when I really start to be into hardcore, where internet starting to develop, and so me, I still knew this time, or to knew a band, it was not on MySpace but still, you had to go to the disco shop or to get a zine in the gig, in the concert, So me, I really start to get to know and to be into hardcore also through the reading of fanzine, Same thing about, I was going in squat and there were also like pamphlets, about anarchy stuff, all that. So, I was a lot of enjoying reading this kind of DIY publication. So I started to do my own zine. I did two issues, and then I stopped for maybe 10 or 15 years, and coming back again, connected with the devotee of Radhakripa in France, I say, yeah, I wanted to continue with zines, but for this time I had a good reason to do it, because something that made me stop doing a zine, it was, but why I'm writing, and wanting to people to buy my writings, it was something kind of, very egocentrical, and I didn't have really a purpose to continue to do a zine and to write. I had no inspiration, but finally, like connected to Krishna consciousness, bring me more motivation and a purpose, to do a fanzine. It was kind of, yeah, I will continue to do a zine and to speak about my life and to speak about my experience and to interview persons because to spread like the message of Prabhupada, and to expand the talk about the philosophy, how it helped me, in a particular way, if it can help other persons. So for me also, like connecting this to Bhakti helped me to continue and give some sort of sense, a meaning, of a creative process I had to go through. Like,
Mm. It's amazing because I just love how you've put it together. All the different pages, and it's like you've cut out newspaper cuttings
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
you know stuck them together. It's very talented and it's
Hmm.
very appealing to read.
It's
Uh,
handmade, everything is handmade. It's like that, in punk rock, it's kind of the weight look, So I like to do that. Also DIY, like working with my scissors and glue and scotch, it's very
yeah,
fun to do. With
and
Prabhupada.
yeah, you've got quite a few
Uh,
obviously quite a few photos of
uh,
Srila
I did this one also of Prabhupada. I love
Um,
that, with his name, Abhay Charan. Have
yeah,
no fear.
right, right. And you've even got the League of Devotees logo at the.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
My camera's not showing it properly. There, at the bottom.
Mm-mm.
There.
Yeah, it was to sustain, to support also the League of Devotees, we
Yeah,
are all
yeah.
part of that. So I think it's good, because I think people, they like, to have. Sometimes we cannot see because, with your background, it's shading
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the image
There we go.
disappear. Yeah. That is like people when they open it, boom, they saw the
Yeah,
mantra like
yeah.
that.
And it's great. So, the different topics you've got around herbalism, Vedic wisdom, positive mental health or mental attitude,
Yeah,
uh, ahimsa non-violence. You know, it's very niche is the word. It's
yeah.
very, there's very few of them. I have never read a magazine like this before.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, it's
and I
like the
read it.
fanzine, usually they are really like targeting a particular
Mm,
group of persons, kind of,
mm,
because like punk rock bands, like who's gonna read an interview, of hardcore band, only the persons that are into hardcore music. So Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe I will do something more open, you know, more wide for the next one.
So how many of these have you produced, and how can people get hold of a copy if they want?
Yeah, like this one because it's like the first one I published in English. Before
Mm.
I was publishing in French, so maybe I was selling like 100 copies. For this one, I did like 192 uh, copies. It's like almost 200 copies. So not everything is sold, but like the one you had, for example, I think I sold like uh 150, you know. So after when it will be over, I will put it online, you know, for people to have it for free. But so far they can, you know, send me a message on the social media. I have a blog. Also, maybe, you know, I think they can buy it on the Ahimsa Non-Violence website. We have a shop with books of my Guru Maharaj and this fanzine and with t-shirts also. Maybe, you know, we can put the link at the end of the interview. And yeah, you know, I can ship the copy. I think there is also like a devotee in Detroit. She's doing the hardcore therapist podcast,
Mm.
and she took like 10 of the zine. So for person that are in the States, you know, they can maybe buy it from her. Like it's Sarah from the hardcore therapist podcast. And maybe if you want, if person in England, you know, they want to take some copy, maybe next time you come, I give you some copies that you can ship from England, you know. Otherwise, with like the tax
Yeah.
all this, you know, super complicated, and finally, you know, it's like €3, you know, or $3. You know, you will pay more for tax and shipping, you know, to have it. Finally, so it's not
Mm.
the point.
So what I'll do with this podcast is I'll put a link to your blog. I can see the blog listed in here,
Mm.
and also your fanzine email address, so people can
Yeah,
make contact with you,
yeah,
and also the Ahimsa Non-Violence website,
yeah.
so people can make contact that way. Um, and also, yes, absolutely, when I'm next in Rouen, uh, so I'm happy to announce right now today. I'm planning to next return in March, which is not.
Okay.
It sounds ages away, but it's not. I'll be there for Gora Panima. Time goes really
Yeah,
quick. It's December
yeah,
now.
sure. Mm-mm.
It's crazy. I feel like in Kali Yuga, things are speeding up as you get older. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll be next there in March. So if you want to give me a lot of these or a number of these,
Nice.
I
Yeah.
can.
Maybe I'm gonna have a new copy, a new issue. So I'm working on a new one. So
I could
maybe
be
you're
your
gonna have the new
wholesaler.
one
I could be
also.
your wholesaler in Britain.
Yeah, sure. It's nice. It's good.
Uh,
Yeah. Thanks.
No worries,
Thank
no
you.
worries. Well, anybody involved in the League of Devotees, bit of a plug here
Yeah.
for the League of Devotees. I'm enthusiastic about supporting,
Mm-mm.
and we'll come on to in a minute why Nitai is part of the League of Devotees.
Okay.
But this is. I just want to say this is great. I love how it's very niche and unique, and uh, you know, you really put a lot of heart and soul into this. Uh, uh, you know,
It's personal. I think like fanzine for me, it's personal writing, and it's matches, you know, also with like this personal aspect also of Vaishnavism. You know, we are not, you know, impersonal. It's relation from heart to heart with God and with the others. You know, so for me, it was kind of natural also, like expressing myself in a zine, speaking about Krishna in this way. You know, if you can help person, I'm super happy. You know.
well, I actually learned a lot about you through this fanzine,
Yeah. Yeah.
and actually the questions for today's podcast I formulated after I read this because so yes, it was very useful for me to understanding about you. And also, I really understand what you're saying, what you said about how you restarted it after you got involved with the devotees at Rouen,
Hmm.
because a part of Krishna consciousness is about using our skills and our talents and our enthusiasms to serve the Lord. If you have a passion for this, then do it to serve the Lord. You know, if somebody likes writing music, do it for the Lord. If somebody likes gardening, do it for the Lord. Krishna consciousness, of course, there's things we shouldn't be doing, but Krishna consciousness is about serving Krishna. And this is a perfect example of how this can be done. Krishna consciousness in practice. So yeah, well done. Well done.
Thank you.
It's great. And actually, that leads us nicely up. We've talked about it a bit already, but I'm really keen to talk about Ahimsa Non-Violence and the Radhakripa Mission, because you're wearing a particular jacket.
Yeah, I've got like the cut, of Ahimsa Non-Violence. I don't know if you can see like the patches,
It's
on the back, but
like a motorcycle jacket.
we have, like these patches, like this, like motorcycle ministry. So
Yeah.
I became the secretary of the associations like recently, and this is like our patches. We have them on the back also. It's
Wow.
kind of this in the yeah, because it's connected to the biker cultures. There is this there's MCs like a motorcycle club and motorcycle ministry. So we are a motorcycle ministry, and this is Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami. I think you've done like several podcasts with him. So it's also something he started, to bring some evolution and in the Vaishnav movements. It's like something, Prabhupada, he started a revolution, Prabhupada, bringing like Krishna consciousness into the West, so in a very open-minded ways. And so finally, us who are continuing like this tradition of Prabhupada, we are devotees, we follow like the four principles, and we also have brought these four principles into a motorcycle ministry, and so yeah, I have a bike, and when I'm going to the temple, I'm driving the bike. Sometimes I'm going to the Mangal Arti at the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning. Driving the bike to go to the temple, and it's super ecstatic. To travel this way, and I don't know, yeah. So maybe I will do more things, involving bike in the future. So far, it's like this. We are also doing our small, run with the Ahimsa in the summer, and also the association Ahimsa Non-Violence. So there is this motorcycle ministry, but it's also with those jackets, that we go in the streets to perform Harinam. So we don't go to do Harinam, dressed up as devotees in France, because they don't like, to have like religious outfit being brought into the public space. So as a respect, with this laicity in France, we are also going into the street to chant the holy name of Krishna with our jacket, that are also carrying, the same values, but in a way that it's more acceptable also to persons, So it was all this, that have created um, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami Maharaj. Just continue.
Yeah.
Where I am.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's great. Uh, I interviewed Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj in August. A great podcast. It's received thousands of views, and yeah, when I first heard about the Ahimsa Non-Violence motorcycle ministry about 3 or 4 years ago, I was very impressed with it straight away, because I've always been of the very strong opinion that Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness will only survive in the West if it learns to adapt, if it learns to try new things. And I always use Christianity as an example. One of the reasons that Christianity has been so successful over 2,000 years and why it survived is because it's learned to adapt according to time, place, and circumstance. I grew up with a form of Christianity called Methodist Christianity in southwest England. If you experience Methodist Christianity, it's very different from the Christianity in Kerala, India, which I've also experienced. They're actually really different. It's only if you can speak Hindi, the message is the same. The message of both churches is the same, but the presentation is different because they're adapting according to the country that they're in. And so that's one of the reasons, bizarrely, I love Ahimsa Non-Violence, because you're adapting, you're
Yeah.
adapting to
Mm-mm.
what people are interested in.
Yeah, yeah, it's super important and to do that, otherwise like it's become dry and if like the point is to really bring that to the most number of persons, we have to adapt and me maybe even for me, it would have been super difficult, to become a devotee if I had to let go like hardcore punk rock and kind of stuff of my life of before, I
Mm.
wouldn't have become a devotee, if I was not able to integrate all that, even like tattooing and motorcycle and traveling, So it's kind of finally, I feel I can be myself, and continue to be a devotee. Even if it's a false identification of ourselves, like kind of this past, I had like, in my eternity, I'm not like a punk rocker, but we are very different of that. But we need do stuff, to continue our path. And I think it's super healthy to do that, rather than having to reject everything, to be dressed as orange, we all look the same. And no, I mean, I like diversity. I like different cultures, and like when you are walking in a garden, there is not like just one kind of flower that is the same everywhere, but there is in nature there is diversity, and diversity is bringing beauty. So we have also, to make this movement more beautiful by bringing some creativity and diversity and open-mindedness and being, evolve with things and to adapt also to our environment. This is super important, Otherwise, people will reject the devotees. So it's not good to act like that.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And just to be clear, so because a lot of our viewers and listeners may not know, the Ahimsa Non-Violence Motorcycle Ministry is ultimately run by the Radhakripa Mission,
But
or is it complete? Is it kind of separate?
no, let's say that, for example, if you have like a motorcycle
Mm.
ministry in the US, a Christian motorcycle ministry, it will be attached, to a particular church or something.
Yes. Yeah.
So as the motorcycle ministry, you are also attached, to Radhakripa Mission, yeah, because it's coming, and like all the person that wears this jacket, with those patches, they have to follow like the four principle, of like the four Vaishnava principle, like no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no intoxication. No,
Mm.
and we are also we chant our brand also. This is super important. Most of the person in the motorcycle club, they're chanting like more than 60 rounds a day. And it's also something. It's not. Yeah, it's super tricky because when you have motorcycle, uh, if it's not done, by someone, that have a like Bhakti Swarup Damodar, that is not for me. Is not like a whatever person, he's like a particular devotee, and he's able to do that, and we are not. It's super contaminating, to be in this world of in the biker world or having a moto. You can really your ego, your mind, can really go in that, and you can really identify to that, and you can fall. Basically, you can fall super easily, and so it's also, to be very respectful and being really consistent in your practice. Uh, it's not something easy to do, to be
Mm.
part of a motorcycle like that. Uh, so I don't know, it's my experience, and I'm really praying, to Prabhupada to not fall, in the trap of the mind because it can come super easy with the bike and stuff like that.
It sounds completely like it was Krishna's arrangement that you would be, you're from Normandy, you were in Normandy, and all of a sudden there's a Hare Krishna temple down the road, and
Eh,
there's a Ahimsa Non-Violence Motorcycle Ministry linked with it. And it's like, and that's
mm,
kind of your thing, kind of your scene.
yeah,
Like,
I
wow,
couldn't have.
completely. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that it was super easy for me to join, like. The first time I knew the temple of Radhakripa Rouen, is because I met devotees for the first time in Peru. Then I had to go back to France for visa stuff. And I just went on Google. I typed Hare Krishna temple in France. And I said, oh, there is one hour from when I live. Yeah, man, it's perfect. So I went there. I went there. And after they were selling books, in the library, and I saw one of the books where the biography of a skinhead became from skinhead to Swami. I say, what? Who is this guy? Like this skinhead? Because I was in the skinhead music, and I saw like, oh, it's this guy from this band, Wow, he's a Krishna devotee, and he's just here. It was wow, it was crazy for me, and it was super easy to join. And even if I had this is how I met like the Radhakripa Mission for the first time. But then after, as I was already engaged in Peru and already in this community of Peru, finally, even if I meet him, I went back to Peru and I stay for Peru maybe 2 or 3 years more after that, still having them in my heart. I've did like all the COVID quarantine in Peru, and then after when all this was over, I came back to France.
Mm.
And yeah.
My next question was going to be, how did you meet the Radhakripa Mission? But you've kind of answered that already.
Yeah.
Just Google and
yes, just Google.
Finding them down the road. But so when you came back from Peru after COVID, you then decided to get more involved with the temple.
Yeah.
Then at some point you went forward for initiation. Can you tell us a bit about that and how your relationship with the temple grew?
Yeah, I came back from Peru. I was in big trouble. It didn't end in a nice way for me, and I came back in France. It was very difficult for me. I had a lot of debt, and I was in a very bad situation. So I really come them, said, please help me. I'm in big trouble, and so I kind of from that after Krishna I was really feeling like the mercy of Krishna and my situation. As soon as I kind of like really surrender myself and offer my heart also to my Guru Dev, like Krishna really saved me, man. It was super. Like, things appear in my life and in a very short moment, all my trouble were away and. All this time, I was in Peru in this community. I had a lot of, I was not being regular in my chanting of the Japa Mala. It was quite difficult. I couldn't do like more than 8 rounds a day, and even 8 rounds, it was really, really difficult. But as soon as I connected to Radhakripa Mission, 60 rounds easy. Even it was not enough, it was incredible, something I couldn't believe, So I really found my way finally, and I was really feeling comfortable over there. It was really like a family, There is, you experience that maybe you also over there, like this mood of family, and it's super nice.
And I know this wasn't one of the questions I sent you beforehand, but I did see, I think it was earlier this year or last year, you had your second initiation as well. I think it was this year. And I remember seeing the photos on Facebook of your Brahmin initiation. Can you tell us a bit about that? And what is a Brahmin initiation, and what inspired you to go forward for that?
Yeah, I think it's like a higher, sacrifice, higher compromise. Yeah, and for me, it was kind of more maybe an affirmation of this is really my life. This is really what I want. And like there is no turning back for me. It's kind of when we start to know about like Vedic knowledge and all that. After it's difficult to go back, and I think for me it was more acting this and going one step further. And so yeah, it was very nice this moment. Don't remember you were here, huh? Or you've seen
I wasn't
only the
there.
pictures.
I saw the photos
Yeah.
on
The photos, they are incredible because we had like the kund, and we just have brought a new water into the kund. So the kund is like turquoise. you know, like the shiny blue color of the kun at that moment. It was incredible. It was a nice moment. Yeah, I think there were also so we did at this moment like there were my second initiation and also like the installation of the sacred water into the kun. You know, that were born like the main reason. And me, you know, I I come humbly to enjoy of that moment for that.
Wow. Yeah. Well, congratulations. They were certainly great photos to see, and yeah, it's wonderful to hear. Um, yeah, and certainly you mentioned about feeling a sense of being at home. Um, I think I've visited the Radhakripa Mission 6 or 7 times over the last 2 years, and I've always felt at home when I'm there. And actually, Bhakti Govinda Swami explained to me that the mood of the temple is Prabhupada at home, or Srila Prabhupada at home. It's that feeling of intimacy with Prabhupada, that Prabhupada is there. And that's one of the many things I like about the Radhakripa Mission. And of course, we launched the League of Devotees almost a year and a half ago. So if anyone listening or viewing isn't aware, the League of Devotees is a partnership. It's an alliance. It sounds a bit political. An alliance between currently 3 different groups working together, and we now have individuals involved as well. And one of those is the Radhakripa Mission, and it means I just get to work with the Radhakripa Mission more. And we've organised 2 or 3 tours, I think, of the UK already. Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami, Bhakti
Yep.
Govinda Swami. They've been to the UK at least three times over the last 18 months. So, and the League of Devotees is always going to grow.
Yeah.
Which is why I was so honoured that you put the League of
Great.
Devotees logo in. I
Yeah,
really was
for
so
sure.
touched. And
Yeah.
actually, Rasalila from the
Yeah.
temple actually designed the logo.
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
resident artist? The resident artist.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's
No, and I think,
fantastic.
like the League of Devotees, also what we do with Ahimsa Non-Violence, can be, it's also, there is Radhakripa, part of the League of Devotees, but kind of Ahimsa Non-Violence, can be also something part of the League of Devotees, even it can be like a new member, if we can say, of the League of Devotees, in my opinion, because
I
also
like that.
with Ahimsa, we can touch like persons also that that maybe for persons that it's more difficult for them to go into having like a temple life and renunciations, like like more traditional renunciations. Eh, with Ahimsa, we can show people, yeah, you can renunciate, but also be in the world, like if you like punk rock, hardcore music, if you like motorcycle, even hip hop, if you are more in this street culture, you can also be a devotee,
Mm.
being more having this kind of street background, It's also, made it. I would really love to do that in the future, to travel more with my bike and to go to places, more to kind of preach, this way, bringing these other images of a preacher. Yeah, you can be a preacher with your bike, and I would love to do that.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I would say go for it. I would say go for it. And you're always welcome here in Great
yeah, I would.
Britain.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I will start with the tour of England, and we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, there's loads of motorcycle clubs in Britain. I've
Mm.
seen them everywhere, making lots of noise and things. I'm actually quite near
Uh,
to where I am now. There's a motorcycle club.
yeah,
But I like the idea of Ahimsa Non-Violence joining the League of Devotees as a separate entity. I like that.
can be.
Let me
Yeah,
talk. Let me talk to the Maharajas.
yeah, yeah,
and,
can be nice.
and and other leaders in the league and see what they say. It sounds very good. And one of the great things about the League of Devotees is we found a lot of devotees around, particularly around Europe, who are running their own independent projects. That for whatever reason haven't officially joined the league yet, but they're supporters, they're
Hmm.
partners. Particularly in Scotland, we've discovered 3 independent groups in Scotland,
Okay.
that are kind of doing their own thing, and
Hmm.
it's just amazing that there's so much talent in the devotee community.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
you know, okay. Uh, so you live an hour away from the temple. So you're not a resident in the temple. So you visit like once a week or once a month or something?
Yeah, like on my weekend, but every all my weekends, I try to go there. Like, I feel at when I go here, I feel I going back home, and then when I going back to my work, I think yeah, it's just doing my work, but really where I live, it's kind of the temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question for you, but you've kind of we've talked about it a bit already, but I'm always keen to ask this question because one of the things that you and I both have in common is that we are of white heritage, of Caucasian heritage, and we didn't grow up in Krishna consciousness. Our parents didn't raise us as Hare Krishna children. But at
Hmm.
some point in our lives, you and I made the decision to join this philosophy or to convert, to join this spiritual tradition because we love it. We think it's great and it changes lives. How can we convince other people of this? How can we convince more people to join the Krishna consciousness movement?
Hmm. I think it's by example, like having like showing nice, being an example for the other persons, being an inspiration for them. When you were formulating your questions, I was thinking, yeah, we are not neither the first white Caucasian persons to become devotees. There were other people doing that before us. I was thinking, for example, like the guy of Chromags, like John Joseph, for example, from this bank Chromags also in New York in the 80s, they were like young white guys becoming also devotees, guys from the street becoming devotees. So me, if I'm becoming a devotee, also it's because people like them, did it in the past, like all the first also devotees of Prabhupada, like the very core first group of Americans, people becoming devotees of Prabhupada. I think we owe a lot to those persons, that were bold enough at that time, to become devotees. And so it's kind of, maybe there is an heritage also here that we have to continue and to honor also in our way. So bringing more, adding our piece, to this, to the pictures. So, doing this Hare Krishna podcast project and doing fanzine and motorcycle and all that, I think this is our contribution. And if you can inspire people, it's good.
Mm, mm. I loved what you said then in terms of we have to live by example. I think you said that anyway, like
Yeah,
live by
yeah, yeah, yeah.
example.
Mm.
Uh, we need to practice what we preach.
Yeah,
If we're
yeah,
preaching
yeah,
like,
sure. Because if we speak about like love of God, but we are bitter, and not having like compassion and love in our heart, we people will see us and say, yeah, okay, you speak about something that you do not experience, So me, I'm speaking to my level. I'm not something advanced, Like kind of, if you read my zine, it's a lot about me, I mean, my ego, speaking about me, it's kind of it's not very good, but I cannot do better than that, So maybe at least if it can help persons also to go in the past and to become to have inspiration of reading like the book of Prabhupada, I'm happy. you
mm,
know this
mm.
is only what I can do, because I'm not a great person.
Well, I think you're great anyway. Don't put yourself down too much. I'm very inspired by your individuality, and what I mean by that is you're kind of a independent thinker, and you're self-motivated.
Mm,
Self-motivated. You're
mm,
very enthusiastic about something. You just do it.
mm,
You
mm.
don't wait
it's like
around.
it's like the punk rock energy, it's DIY, it's like do it yourself, you don't wait for someone to do the stuff for you. You
Yes.
want to see something, you do it. Yeah, I like this, kind of like Nike, just do it, You want something, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've actually got DIY written here on the magazine.
Yeah, it's
Hardcore and
important.
DIY.
I don't
Let's
know.
see it.
Yeah, for me, DIY, it's important.
Yeah, hardcore and DIY.
Mm.
Great. Fantastic. So, what I'm going to do is with this podcast, I'm going to make sure there's links to your blog, to your email address, to the Ahimsa Non-Violence website and Facebook page. Uh,
Mhm.
and you're saying that there's a shop section on the Ahimsa Non-Violence Facebook website, is there?
Yeah, there is on the website of Ahimsa Non-Violence. Maybe, we're gonna have to rock again on the website, but there is a section, a very short section about the motorcycle ministry. Maybe we'll do something bigger in the future, but so far you can know a bit more about the motorcycle ministry, all the activities of Ahimsa Non-Violence. If persons from France are listening to this podcast, we are doing also like 3 food distribution a week, 3 times per week. We are giving vegetarian meals, like prashadam to person in the street. And there is also like the harinam, and there is also a shop on the website. I think it's on the top of the page. There is a shop, and here there is books, CDs, and fanzine, and T-shirt also. I have to update all the T-shirt, but we have made like very cool new T-shirt of Ahimsa Non-Violence motorcycle ministry. If persons wants to support the motorcycle ministry, they can have a look on the t-shirt. I think they are very nice to wear, and we are doing them, a cheap price because it's not very good quality. We are sorry, but we try them, after maybe if you wash them too much, but at least they are cheap, and we cannot like put tons of money, to do a big quality printing. It's too expensive, man, now.
Mm. Mm.
And we are also, we do as much as we can with our humble mean.
It's very inspiring, and of course, uh, you also have a bikers bar now. I
Mm,
saw the bikers bar
mm,
uh, when I was last in France.
yeah,
So just to be clear to everyone, there's no alcohol at this bikers
yeah.
bar.
Mm,
It's a you could say a teetotal, which is like non-alcoholic bikers bar
mm, mm.
uh, for bikers and Hare Krishna devotees. I actually had some prashadam in there when I was there the other week, 4 weeks ago. I was last there.
Yeah, yeah. And also with Ahimsa, one time per month we are doing our Ahimsa gathering. So finally, it's taking the form of a music show, like music performance. There is persons coming to play music, so there are devotees playing music. So also, if there is some persons listening to this podcast and that they have some talents, they can, if they can do the trip to France, they are welcome also to come and participate to one of these. But also, what we are starting now, it's like we are doing live broadcast of those shows. So like these people can watch the Ahimsa music show in replay from all over the world. So in this Ahimsa gathering, it's like all the members of the motorcycle ministry, we join together one time per month to share the holy names, listen to devotional music, and also having like kind of like a time to speak. And so all this biker gathering, we are also diffusing this online. So yeah, we are also like we're gonna actualize like the YouTube channel of Ahimsa. We still have a work to do for that, but yeah, if people are interested to know more about the motorcycle, if they are far from France, they can also participate to that, through watching the replay of our gathering. Something super nice. I think it's very you participate to different gathering like this,
Mm.
and it's a very nice way also to speak about Krishna consciousness.
I think the first ever time I visited the Radhakripa Mission 2 years ago, I was invited to a bikers meeting.
Yeah.
It was great.
Mm-mm. Yeah. So now we are doing our bikers meeting in the clubhouse, where we have our free alcohol bar and some snacks. It's very
Mm.
cool, It's very, it's like first time devotees are doing something like that, and it's very nice. It's very cool. Mm.
It definitely is, and I would recommend anyone. I say this a lot to people all over the world if they can make it, is to visit the Radhakripa Mission.
Mm.
They don't have to join. They don't have to join the League of Devotees. Just visit the
Yeah.
Radhakripa Mission.
Yeah.
Visit
Sure.
the Ahimsa
Sure.
Non-Violence, because I think what you're doing
Yeah.
in Rouen is incredibly unique.
Mm.
It's a fantastic example of adapting or applying Krishna consciousness in a more modern way.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to praise myself too much, but a number of people have visited over the last year and a half. I mean, uh, since I've been banging on about it, you know, I said, oh, you should visit the Radhakripa Mission. And most people don't know there's a Hare Krishna temple in Rouen.
Mm, mm, mm.
I mean, recently, uh, there was a visitor from Australia who's a supporter of the League of Devotees, and he just suddenly had this kind of desire to visit the Radhakripa Mission. So he came to our festival 4 weeks ago, all the way from Australia, which was just, I think you might know him actually, which is
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
amazing. Which is quite
Mm-hmm.
amazing. You know, he that's an austerity. You have to pay the money, get
Yeah.
on the flight. That's a
Mm.
big austerity. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm.
I live in the south of England. Okay, it's easier for me to drive to Rouen than to drive to Scotland.
Really?
It's easier because
Okay.
there's less driving. There's a ferry,
Yeah.
but the ferry
Yeah.
is quite comfortable, really. But
Mm-hmm. Mm.
it's certainly a lot less driving. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's
So
come with a bus of full of devotees next time.
yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. Okay, okay. Uh, believe it or not, you and I have been recording for almost an hour and a half.
Okay. Yeah.
Time goes quick. I tell you what.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
get talking about Krishna consciousness.
Mm.
So what I'm going to do, Nitai, I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone at home, but
All
stay
right.
on the line. Stay on the line.
Yes.
I'm incredibly grateful to you, Nitai, for being our 195th guest.
Thanks for the invitation. It was a pleasure, and yeah, whenever you want.
Yeah,
Thanks everybody for listening, and please forgive me if I have done any offenses, and please be forgive me.
I'm having to say sorry all the time for the things that I say. I'm joking. But yes, a massive thank you to Nitai for being our guest this week. It's been great to hear his story. And I knew as soon as I read this magazine that I was going to invite him on the podcast because he certainly has had a story to share with us. So a big thank you to him, and check out the links with this recording on YouTube and Facebook for links to the Radhakripa Mission, to his own blog, and to the Ahimsa Non-Violence Motorcycle Ministry. Okay, do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and video productions from the Hare Krishna Project. And or if you're watching this on Facebook and you haven't already, please do like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. Those are the two platforms that you can watch these podcasts. And also through our Facebook page, you'll see about all the other project work that we're doing, and in particular our link with the Rouen Temple through the League of Devotees. So there's always something happening, like all the time. I cannot sit still. I have like physical Tourette's or something. I'm always wanting to do something. Okay, so until next week, I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna.